Pinocchio tells the story of Jiminy Cricket, voiced by Cliff Edwards. He breaks into a workshop to discover Geppetto, voiced by Christian Rubb, who turned out to be a Nazi sympathiser during production. Yeah, he pissed off all of the animators because he would constantly preach about Hitler's accomplishments. Disney? Racist? Anti-Semitic? Oh well, I am shocked.
Understand?
Who builds a puppet called Pinocchio before wishing on a shooting star for said puppet to come to life. Lo and behold, it comes true, now voiced by Dickie Jones.
Go ahead. Make a fool of yourself.
And he won't become a real boy until he finds Jude Law, goes to the bottom of the ocean, finds some alien... Wait, I think I'm mixing up my films.
Very well.
Setting off for a normal life, he soon gets kidnapped to be used for profit in the circus. Sure this wasn't Nickelodeon.
Oh, was that so?
Before he escapes, only to get kidnapped again, only to escape again, before finding out that Geppetto was eaten by a whale. Did we just enter a completely different film? And he and Jiminy head to his rescue, proving himself and finally earning his right as a real boy.
Cute little fella.
Based on the Carlo Collodi 1883 novel, The Adventures of Pinocchio, production began in September of 1937. Walt Disney himself read the book and was instantly enthusiastic to begin the project. It was intended to start after the release of Bambi, but that production took much longer than expected, so it was bumped back in favour of this one, becoming Disney's only second animated feature film behind Snow White. In fact, when he picked up an award for the latter, Walt Disney then gave a speech for the Academy Award audience about the Pinocchio production he was working on next, and he maintained everyone's complete attention for 25 minutes, gaining much excitement. However, unlike Snow White, which was their own story to tamper with, this was based on a fixed plot, but it did go through many different changes. In the book, Pinocchio was actually really rude, ungrateful, had no sympathy, and only learned his lesson after he was brutally tortured. So basically, he was Annie, but made of wood.
A very lovely thought, but not at all practical.
The film actually got through about half the production when Walt Disney decided he wasn't happy with it, stating that people wouldn't sympathise with a character like this, and he ordered them to completely start over from scratch. As the character was changed, they then decided he was too naive and too easily influenced. You mean like a child? Like he's supposed to be.
No, nothing like that.
Which is when Jiminy Cricket's character was written in. Yeah, the character wasn't in the story until about 9 months into the production, which is weird because in the book, Pinocchio actually murders him with a mallet before he returns later on as a ghost. Jesus!
It could be worse.
Pinocchio was released on February the 23rd, 1940 and received critical acclaim. It ended up winning the Academy Award for Best Original Song for
No strings to hold me down
and Best Original Score, the first Disney film to win either, and the only to win both until Mary Poppins in 1964. And it originally had a budget of just $500,000, but ended up costing a whopping $2.5 million, making it one of the most expensive films ever made at the time. But despite its hype and excitement, it unfortunately did not make back its expected gross, only earning $1 million. Many rule this down to the Second World War cutting off markets overseas, reducing its international success, and Walt Disney hit a huge depression over the box office failure.
I'll bet a lot of you folks don't believe that.
Despite this, the American Film Institute listed it as the second greatest animated movie in history, losing only to Snow White, listing it also as the 38th most inspiring, which by the way was the only animated picture on the list, with the famous song as the 7th best movie song of all time. It appeared on Roger Ebert's Great Movies list, was one of Terry Gilliam's favourites, and a sequel was even planned in the mid-2000s. It was supposed to focus on Pinocchio finding life quite unfair, but legend John Lasseter, director of Toy Story, cancelled it after his ego, I guess, got too big for his boots when he was named CCO of Disney Animation Studios in 2006. However, on April the 8th, 2015, Disney announced to be making a live-action version of the movie because they'd clearly run out of ideas, and that's for another time.
Well, it's about time!
The animation is gorgeous, and honestly I miss this style that Disney just don't seem to do anymore. One thing I will say about the live-action adaptations is that a lot of the charm just goes missing. They're fine films, but they're usually carbon copies, and I feel like the originals maintain the charm due to the animation. That's the thing that makes them so damn lovable. This is a truly magical story, and as an adult, I can still enjoy it. The music is wonderful, the voice acting is spot on, and the story is very well told. I mean, with a kid's story, you kind of expect him to simply escape the bad guys and make it back to his dad's, but this one is like, nope, and has him get kidnapped again. It keeps you guessing, and I think it's enjoyable no matter the age of the viewer. The character is very believable as an easy to manipulate child, so when he's taken advantage of, you sympathise and really support him. The film also has a lot of balls. I mean, this is 1940 and it has kids drinking beer and smoking cigars. Yeah, forget putting kids in peril, they're drinking beer and smoking cigars. The film doesn't give a damn. There's scenes where the kids start to turn into donkeys from drinking the beer. Must be Weatherspoons.
That's it. that's it.
And some kids can still speak begging for their mum. It's so dark and horrifying. Even Pinocchio's friend transforms into one, and this is on some American Werewolf level here, man. It's mortifying and traumatized me as a kid. But now I've got to make fun of it. I apologise in advance.
Good piece of wood, too.
Too easy.
Wouldn't it be nice if he was a real boy?
Not sure if that's really sweet because he's lonely, or really creepy because he wants a boyfriend. I'm just saying! Come on, he's a lonely old man with no friends who talks to puppets and he wants a little boy to hang around with. Who wasn't thinking this? And would you really waste a wish on something like this? I mean, he's old. Surely a few extra years or lower cholesterol would have been higher on your priorities list. I'm just saying. Also, the fairy has awful animation. I'm noticing a pattern here. It's just weird because everything else is gorgeous, but she just looks off. Everything else seems natural and part of the scenery, and she just clearly looks out of place. This was done through rotoscope, which is when they animate over real live action footage. But I don't see why they didn't just hand draw it like the rest, which, you know, doesn't look like crap.
To make Geppetto's wish come true will be entirely up to you.
Up to me?
Prove yourself brave, truthful, and unselfish, and someday you will be a real boy.
Alright, so you're not granting his wish then. False advertising. There is an entire song about whistling. Like, I know there's films over the years that create pointless songs about pointless things, but this invented it. Jiminy says to whistle whenever he needs him, teaches him to whistle, and then sings about teaching him to whistle. It's a complete waste of time. Only bad song on the film though, I might add. Yeah, all the singing and whistling didn't wake up Geppetto, but that did. But who cares? This is hilarious.
Who's there?
It's me.
Oh, it's me.
Here I am.
The cat just jumped up Geppetto's butthole. When he finds Pinocchio alive, he barely reacts, but I must admit, that's hilarious as well. The film has some really clever and funny moments.
Where's Walker?
Well, he just murdered his fish. Yeah, an elderly man sleeping next to a small boy. This just looks creepy as hell. Come on, are you telling me that this doesn't look weird to you? And he's going to school the very next day. Yeah, that's how that would work. And wouldn't they notice that he's made out of wood?
A wooden boy.
Yeah, they would. Genius plan, Geppetto. You know, it's strange that in a film that does seem to have some kind of reality, considering they find it odd that a puppet can come to life, they still have talking crickets and other animals walking around.
I'm all right.
Oh, splendid.
That guy just tried reaching inside Pinocchio's butthole. And then two villains manipulate Pinocchio to go with them. They've just kidnapped him. This is a story of grooming a small boy. How does nobody talk about this? I mean, circus guy kidnaps Pinocchio and locks him in a cage against his will. These are all paedophiles trying to tap some wooden puppet butt. He even twerks his ass at him for crying out loud.
I'm collecting stupid little boys. The disobedient ones what play hooky from school. And I takes them to Pleasure Island.
Okay, this is a paedophile porno film.
I've got no dick for you to suck, if you don't mind. You got my butt, I was wood, but now I'm not. You old guy who wants my cuck.
You're welcome.
Stop and buy out a candy store. And
Yeah, Jiminy Cricket would have been Jiminy squashed right there.
What does an actor want with a conscience anyway?
Was that the first ever fourth wall joke?
where could he be at this hour?
Well, what do you expect letting a child walk to school at that age? You'd think he'd be more responsible after being a father for 6 hours. Wait, Pinocchio can shed tears? But he's made of wood and isn't real yet. My head hurts. Also, a common mistake in animated films, Pinocchio can easily squeeze through these bars. Why do animators have such problems just drawing the bars closer together?
Guess I'll never see my father again.
You've known him about 20 seconds. Obviously the fairy shows up to help them escape, but how? I mean, no one whistled here and no one made a wish. That's how she appears, right? When he starts telling lies for his nose to grow, one, I just feel like this famous plot point is, well, pointless. I get that you want to teach kids that lying is bad, but it affects the plot in no way whatsoever. I'd understand if the nose growth prevented them from escaping and then shrinking it helped them or something, but it doesn't. And this doesn't happen again anywhere else in the film. It's entirely pointless. But two, the lies don't even make any sense. Pinocchio makes up this absurd story to the fairy, but why doesn't he just tell her the truth, that he was tricked by evil guys? I mean, he even claims...
They trapped me in a firewood.
Why would you say that?
Go on, laugh. Make a jackass out of yourself.
This is actually really clever and subtle foreshadowing. I lost talent now. And I'm sure they're not going to mess it up.
What's he think I look like? A jackass?
Way to completely ruin it and suddenly make it forced. Also, pool didn't exist in the time period that this film is set in, so how the hell are they playing pool? And also, how did they not notice all of the hundreds of kids turning into donkeys? But it doesn't matter, Geppetto got his wish because he just wanted a little ass. But how come Pinocchio just stops transforming? His friend changed within seconds and he didn't seem to drink much more beer than Pinocchio. And if it isn't based on the consumption of the beer, wouldn't the other kids have just sprung ears and a tail and then stopped like Pinocchio did? Very inconsistent. I expected more from a kid's film about a talking puppet. The fairy even shows up to drop a letter off about his dad's whereabouts. Again, no one made a wish. How does this happen? I also feel like this is just weird and random. Like the writers thought, okay, so he gets back to his dad's house and then we need a third act. He gets eaten by a giant whale. I know he had to show bravery, but I would have thought confronting and overpowering the bad guys on Pleasure Island would have proved that enough. Oh well, gotta inspire Legend of Zelda somehow, I guess. And despite only knowing the whale is somewhere in the ocean, they managed to locate it. I mean, not right away. There's an awesome scene where they roam the ocean first for a while, but still, the ocean's a pretty big place. Wait, so Geppetto, his cat, and his fish are all eaten by a whale, but are all still alive? The fishbowl is even still intact. And the fishing on a ship inside the whale. Does it just never chew anything?
Getting out? But how?
We'll make him sneeze.
Would a fire make him sneeze? I thought it'd make him cough. Also, a whale would sneeze through its blowhole, not its mouth. Wait, how does the cat survive? I mean, it was clearly on the raft when it was destroyed, and cats can't swim, and they hate the water. To clarify, all of these do not dent the movie whatsoever, and it's still a masterpiece. It's a charming little story with catchy songs, charming characters, one prick Nazi voice actor, a bunch of paedophiles, gorgeous and impressive animation for its time, and a must-see for anyone of any age.